Excuse the fanfare introduction, but I wanted to grab your attention and mention a few things. Last evening, I had the opportunity of being part of a Zoom meeting, of which there were 134 other people from around Region 15, discussing what they are now calling the relaunching of our services. Because we've never really stopped being church. However, we have the need to consider some things. And we were told with very uncertain terms that there are some very serious restrictions and considerations that we have to make as we contemplate the possibility of opening our church for services and for other use. Yes, other use as well. The groups that will be used that use our church on a regular basis cannot be larger than 10, cannot be greater than 10 people. However, there is a list of restrictions on their part if they use the church before they leave the church in readiness for someone else. And I want to mention that the meeting last night just mentioned a whole lot of things that we need to do, among which is to create a plan. We have to make a plan which we post on the door of the church and let the people of the congregation have copies or be aware of the regulations. And these regulations or these restrictions or these notices are based on what we are allowed to do because of what the Department of Health, the health authority, has opened up or allowed us to participate in. For example, pastoral care is only allowed if absolutely necessary, and that's in-person pastoral care. Phone calls, of course, are not anything to be concerned about, but to be actually one-on-one or one-on-two or three, that kind of thing, we are told not to do that yet. But if someone is in dire needs or is in need of a visit from the minister, then that can be done with, again, some restrictions like wearing masks and minimum touching and no touching of individuals and that kind of stuff. So that's just part of the larger picture. The larger picture is that the decision to open must be made by the board of the faith community. And we at Collingwood have a slight problem because we only have one member who is a member of the board. The others are all adherents. So we have to make some changes in that setup for our church as well. The adherents have to become members so that we can function as a congregation or as a community of faith and make decisions and work into the future. We must be concerned for those who are vulnerable, and those are mostly the people who suffer from asthma and similar disease, similar ailments, or who are over certain ages. We must be considerate of them. We have to balance the right to gather for worship with the need to protect those who are vulnerable. And necessarily that could separate one of those groups from possibly even attending church. And I have a very serious difficulty with that. However, also it was mentioned that we shouldn't consider opening much before September, even if it happens then. So I would like to suggest to you, the people of Collingwood, that we are able to meet in a group less than 10, properly spaced and all that, masks available should they be required or should they be felt to be needed, and come up with a strategy or a plan that we will adhere to or follow as we consider becoming, having our services open. I have some information that I would love to bring to the meeting. I would like very much to have a meeting as soon as possible. But since we are required, or since it's suggested we wait until September, I would like to ask that we have a meeting in the latter part of August or in the middle of August, and that we consider what we would want to do as far as the future in the fall and winter months coming ahead. As you know, you are closed for the month of July, so and this is just a couple of weeks before the end of June. So, however, if you feel that you want to meet sooner than that, I am willing to. I am actually seriously thinking of coming to the office on Tuesday of next week, and perhaps if some of you would contact me, we could arrange times that you might be able to stop into the office and we can have a discussion. Again, you don't have to come one by one. We are allowed a group of 10 maximum. So 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever could meet very quickly and very easily in the hall area of the church, and we separate ourselves according to the distancing required, and after we're finished we scrub down the tables and the chairs and anything else that we may have used. It's not suggested that we make coffee or have a tea available or anything of that nature. It is really quite a daunting situation that we have ourselves in terms of being ready for operation. And even though we do have rules and we do set down borders and situations, we have to also be prepared for the possibility of interruptions. And that depends on how the disease or the virus continues. If it continues to diminish, that is even better, but it may not as we slowly open our churches and the rest of our society as well, and the buildings and the stores and restaurants and that kind of thing, and gatherings outside. But the congregation is to know the plan. The plan must be written down and posted on the doors, and it will also affect the insurance on the church. If we do not have a plan, our insurance might be jeopardized. Just some thoughts from the meeting from yesterday. Please don't hesitate to contact me either by phone or by email as your response to this particular video this morning. More information can be gathered if we gather together or if we communicate. Now, I have phone here in this office. I don't have a phone in the office at Collingwood, so please don't hesitate to call. Please feel free to call and let us have a discussion about what we're going to do. Hugs, and we'll talk again soon.